Okay, one for trigonometric identities. So we have reciprocal identities, and you already know them. Oops, that's an E, not an I. What do you think the reciprocal identities are? If I said you already know them.
The secant, cotangent.
Okay, so sine of theta is equal to 1 over cosecant of theta.
Huh?
And cosecant theta, reciprocal, is equal to 1 over sine of theta. They're just reciprocals. Cosine of theta is equal to 1 over what? What's the reciprocal of cosine? No.
No, it's
Secant.
Secant. And then, so secant of theta is equal to 1 over cosine of theta. And tangent of theta is equal to 1 over cotangent of theta. And cotangent of theta is equal to 1 over tangent of theta. Now, I will tell you, you probably use the right-hand column more than you use the left-hand column, but it is a thing. Okay? In other words, you just take the what? Reciprocal?
It just looks more confusing.
womp womp.
Okay, so I'm going to give you
Not funny.
a function, a value, and we're going to use identities to find the other. We're not going to make a triangle and Pythagorean theorem. We're going to use identities. Okay? So, if sine of theta equals 3/5, then cosecant of theta equals what? 5 over 3, because cosecant of theta equals 1 over sine, correct? Which would be 1 over 3/5, which would be what? 5 over 3. Now, I did that long, right? Like, I didn't need to do all that. That wasn't necessary. But do you see how it works? Because it's 1 over, so you multiply by the reciprocal and you get 5/3. Because they're not all going to be nice 3/5. You might get something that's like 1 over the square root of something.
Have we already done this?
Yes, but we're going to do, again, we're not going to be making triangles and stuff. We are going to be doing everything with identities. Okay? Because we will be proving trig identities. And so when I say basic, the identities that you learn in this section are what you are going to use. So you need to really know them. And the reciprocal ones are easy. You know them already. Okay. So as if I go through and I say the cosecant of theta equals A, what is the sine of theta? One over A. Don't overthink it, just reciprocate it. What if I told you it was 1? What's the reciprocal of 1? 1. What's the reciprocal of 0?
Defined.
Undefined. What's the reciprocal of undefined? 0. Okay? Because something that is undefined is a number divided by what? 0. So the reciprocal of that would be 0 over a number, which would be 0. So remembering that the reciprocal of 0 is undefined and the reciprocal of undefined is 0 will help you a little bit. Okay, the next identity group we're going to do is ratio identities. First of all, what's a ratio? It's one of those F words in math you guys don't like. Fraction. So the tangent of theta, remember I said we're not going to build a triangle. We're going to do everything with the trig functions today. Tangent is y over x, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, what function involves y? What?
I don't know what
Oh.
you're asking.
What function is y? Sine, cosine, tangent, which one's y?
Sine.
Sine. Which one's x?
Cosine.
Cosine. So tangent is y over x. It's also sine of theta over cosine of theta. And the reason for that is sine would be y over r, yes? And cosine would be x over r. So when I multiplied by the reciprocal, I would get what? Y over x. So tangent is sine over cosine. So that would mean that cotangent is what over what? Cosine over sine. Now I'm not saying the theta, but the theta is there, and you do need to write it. So if the sine of theta is negative 3/5, and the cosine of theta is negative 4/5. Now I'm going to tell you right now, this is how the book writes negative 4/5. Don't write your fractions like that. Okay? Because of the fact you're going to be doing fractions over fractions, divided by fractions, multiplied by fractions. And when you start doing that, these division bars start looking like this. Does that look like 4 divided by 5? No. Is it hard to tell what is the numerator and denominator with your brain quickly? Yes. So write your fractions as negative 4 over 5 and separate it. See it. Okay? So I want the tangent of theta. So how you're going to do these today is you're going to write tangent of theta, and I should have done it up here. Well, I did it here. I did cosecant of theta equals 1 over sine, and you don't have to put this step, but then 3/5. So this is the steps I want you to use, because I want those identities to just be there. Okay? So when we do this, tangent is what function over what function? Sine over cosine. And then you can do, I would go down, personally. Okay, so that's negative 3/5 over negative 4/5. So when you reciprocate, you get what? Three-fourths. But this step right here is important, so you know by the time you're done, you know them. Okay? Am I good? Okay, just a notation. When I write sine squared of theta, okay, sine is a function, correct? Can you square a function? Like, can you square f of x?
No.
No, you can square numbers or values, but you can't square like a function, right? So what this really is sine of theta, your answer squared. Which way does it look better, left or right?
Right.
Really? I like this one.
Right.
I like the right better.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you this is how they're going to write it on the left.
I agree.
Okay? So, if sine of theta equals 3/5, what is sine squared of theta? So you 3/5 squared, so you get 9/25.
What does it
Cos,
say to the third?
She made an oopsie.
because I was thinking about this problem. Okay, so cosine of theta is -1/2. So what's cosine cubed? Negative? What are you guys going to today? 26?
Oh, it's 8. Oh, it's.
I wish. I just want this one to be.
Okay, we're gonna keep going with notes. Where do you want to go work? I just feel like we've,
If we knew he was done.
like, well, no, like, we're done with today's notes, but I just feel like,
That's okay.
okay.
Because if you add more, it